Disclaimer, I'm going to say things that you may not agree with, and that's okay with me. I just want to begin by saying that I can't and I won't ever understand the depth of the pain, the suffering, and the oppression that my Black brothers and sisters have experienced in this country. As I was reflecting on George Floyd and that video of the unjust murder that he experienced, I'll be honest, my natural inclination was to disengage and detach. And I had to repent to God, but also to my Black brothers and sisters. Because I didn't know how to respond, I was afraid to respond. I felt like I had no right to respond. My just natural response was to just detach from it. And I was overwhelmed in my understanding within my cultural point of view and my own response to my personal experience of injustice. I wasn't able to see how I was behaving. But I'm so grateful for God's grace. He illuminated to me, and I do have holy regret, and I wish I would have known sooner. But I'm grateful that God revealed to me that my disengagement was sinful towards God. As I was preparing to go on my run, I was reflecting on Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd, and I was just praying and asking God to search me. And I was just reminded of the story of Jesus in the temple. Jesus saw the injustice that was happening in his home, in his house, in his Father's house. And I even almost trying to rationalize the other person's point of view, like the sellers. Like, oh, what if, God, they needed money? That was the only way they could have provided for their home. And God really checked me and confronted me on that point of view, because Jesus's response was just flipping the tables, making that cord of whip. Can you imagine if someone was taking advantage of your house, of your temple, of your value? That response would totally be valid. When I look back on my past injustices that I've experienced, I didn't know what it meant to stand up for myself, stand up for others. I didn't know that I was worth protecting. And again, unfortunately, that translated to the way that I loved and protected other people. So what's your point of view? Do you know God is zealous for you? Do you know that he's protective over you? That he would flip tables for you? If not, it may be challenging to empathize with our Black brothers and sisters who have been hurt in this nation. And so I just want to read this letter to you. As I was writing it last night, it felt like God was just calling me and challenging me out through this letter. And not to shame me. God doesn't call us out or illuminate things to shame us, but to rise up, to be challenged, and to really step into what he has already placed in each and every one of us, a voice. Dear beloved, it has been scary times, hasn't it? It's been that way for too long, and everything may seem out of control, but trust me. When there is something that has been built on bad foundation, things need to be broken down. The debris needs to be cleared away, and the foundation needs to be built back up properly. That is what this is. These unjust killings, racism, systematic racism is what needs to be broken down, and it is finally being exposed like never before. This is what will create lasting change, to rise up. Don't be afraid. Don't be overwhelmed by the waves, but trust that I am doing a new thing. I don't stand for evil, I don't stand for injustice, and I don't stand for division. I will bring things together where there will be freedom, there will be unity, and there will be hope restored again. So I need you to rise up. Be a light, be a helping hand, be a listening ear. Be a voice that stands and isn't afraid. You may have to have tough conversations. You may feel uncomfortable because it goes against your culture, your family motto, your experiences, and even your understanding. Self-awareness is the gateway to transformation, but as believers, you choose if you will allow yourself to be transformed from the inside out, from culture, old ways of thinking, behaviors, and experiences. That is what taking up your cross looks like, dying to yourself and following me. It's being able to learn and unlearn things that aren't of me. This is what we must do. You may not know the depth of racism and injustice to the depth that my Black sons and daughters have experienced, but that doesn't mean remaining silent is an option anymore. Love your neighbor as yourself. How would you want to be protected and stood up for? Do you know that I protect you and am zealous for you? Stand, don't be silent, don't be afraid. Abide in me and I will guide you. Trust me.